I want to talk about Jesse Ridgway's post about terminating a pregnancy after a trisomy 21 diagnosis. But I want to be careful because I'm not here to send hate. I'm not here to attack his wife. I'm not here to make threats. And I'm not here to turn one video into a full abortion debate. That is not what this is. But I am a father raising a daughter with Down syndrome. So when Down syndrome is publicly framed in a certain way, I think families like mine have a right to respond. And what bothered me most was not only the decision they made, it was the framing around the decision, the language, the way Down syndrome was talked about, the way it was presented as the bad outcome, the worst outcome, the thing that made not having that child beneficial for the family. And I want to say this clearly. I understand fear. I understand getting medical news that scares you. I understand sitting with doctors, risk, stats, possibilities, and not knowing what the future is going to look like. My wife and I have lived through fear too. Our daughter's journey has not been easy. There have been hospital days. There are still airway issues. She still has a trach. There have been moments where I was scared out of my mind, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend Down syndrome cannot come with real medical weight. It can. But what I struggle with is when Down syndrome gets talked about like it is the only doorway into suffering, the only doorway into dependence, the only doorway into burden, the only doorway into an uncertain future. Because parenting already comes with all of that. A child can be born without Down syndrome and still have medical emergencies. A child can be born healthy and still end up in hospitals. A child can be typical and still struggle with learning, behavior, mental health, trauma, disability, or lifelong needs. None of us get a clean preview of what parenting will cost. And that is the part I think gets missed. Down syndrome did not introduce uncertainty into parenting. It just made some of the uncertainty visible earlier. That is different. When people see a diagnosis, they think they are seeing the whole future, but they are not. They are seeing a list of possibilities, and some of those possibilities may happen, some may not. Some may be harder than expected. Some may be more beautiful than expected. But the child is still more than the list. My daughter is not a list of risk. She is not just a diagnosis. She is not just medical complexity. She is Rowe. She laughs. She plays. She communicates. She gets frustrated. She tries. She surprises people. She scares me sometimes. She stretches me. She teaches me. And yes, she depends on us in ways that are heavy. But dependency does not erase humanity. Need does not erase value. And hardship does not mean her life is only hardship. That is why the post hurt. Because it did not just say, we were scared. It publicly built a case for why Down syndrome was something to avoid. And then to call that kind of public conversation brave or noble. That is where I struggle. A vulnerable post is not automatically noble if the framing reduces children like mine to a list of hardships. And I believe scared families deserve more than fear. They deserve honesty, yes. Tell them about the medical risk. Tell them about the challenges. Tell them about the support their child may need. But also tell them about the child. Tell them about the personality, the growth, the joy, the milestones that hit your heart differently because you know what it took to get there. Tell them that Down syndrome can be hard, but it is not the same thing as hopeless. So no, I do not support the hate they received. I do not support threats. I do not support people using Jesus as a weapon against grieving people. But I also do not support the way Down syndrome was framed, because fear can be part of the story, but fear should not be the only story people hear about children like my daughter. And as her father, I cannot stay quiet about that.